Recently, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services (USCIS) issued a policy alert prohibiting Communist Party members from obtaining an immigrant visa. Someone said this policy alert didn't announce any new immigration policy, but does show that the Trump administration may take tougher action to enforce existing ones. Someone said those who need it should prepare a certificate of quitting the CCP well in advance. Someone said the third and fourth generations of CCP's political elites have entered the US, Canada, Australia, and European nations for many years, and many have been naturalized as citizens of these states. Someone recalled such a member called Song Bingbing and said, "She is the daughter of Song Renqiong, a former military general and one of the 8 elders of the Communist Party of China." Song Renqiong had 8 children. 5 of them have been naturalized as U.S. citizens. Someone recalled a few years ago, Bloomberg and other media exposed how the 8 major families of the Chinese Communist Party embezzled the country's huge assets and transferred their property and sent their children to Western countries. Someone explained Song Bingbing's better-known name is Song Yaowu. She used to represent the Red Guards and tied a red scarf for Mao on the Tiananmen Tower during the Cultural Revolution era. Recently, Mao's embalmed body has been discussed in Chinese social media. Someone said, based on historical record, Mao requested his body to be cremated after death, but then party officials went against his will and wanted his body preserved and put on display. Someone said the spread of this information may indicate that some action will be taken regarding Mao's corpse. Someone said, publicly displaying Mao's corpse on Tiananmen is actually an expression of resentment toward Mao. Someone said, it is indeed strange that, given Beijing has been advocating for and even forcing bodies to be cremated after death, it is incredible that back then they would treat Mao in the exact opposite way. In late September, a student from Shanxi Institute of Applied Science and Technology broke the news online that the expansion of the school's enrollment this year has resulted in an overloaded freshman class and insufficient dormitories. In the end, the school administration decided to move all seniors majoring in financial management and visual communication in the School of the Fine Arts to the South Campus. The seniors emphasized that they are unwilling to move because the South Campus is far away from the new campus and the accommodation conditions are extremely poor. As a result of the disagreement, a vote was taken by the students, but this move angered school administrators. This video shows the conversation between the student and the school principal during a town hall meeting. The student said, now we have counted about 7,000 votes. Among them, the ratio of those who agree to move and those who disagree is 1 to 40, which means that only 18 of the 750 students in the class are willing to move. 732 students are not. Most of us also disagree with the 300 yuan subsidy. If this is the case, we wonder if we can give 400 yuan to other students and ask them to move instead. The school principal questioned, do you want to solve the problem or just keep instigating and inciting? The student replied, what I just talked about is the problem. The principal then said, next student please, but clearly all students shared the same question, so no one stood up. The principal yelled, "All those that attempt to instigate will be punished according to the Student Conduct Code, including you." He repeated what he just said. Someone alleged maybe the principal got his current position through bribery and various other means often used by bureaucrats in Communist China. If you talk to him about votes and public opinion, he will of course get frustrated. Someone said, "I can understand the logic this school principal held because voting is one of the most sensitive issues in Communist China. So voting, of course, in his eyes, would be equivalent to inciting." Someone said, if China's political system is changed to one that is adopted by civilized nations, a school principal will not dare to label what the students did, which were clearly their rights, as instigating and inciting. Therefore, the root cause is the communist system, and it has nothing to do with ethnicity or race. Someone responded, "From kindergarten to university, if you dare to make any suggestions or requests to the school, you will be called instigating and inciting." The stability maintenance methods used by school officials are not at all inferior to those used by powerful departments. They have all been trained well by the communist system. Someone said, ultimately, without the right to vote, there would be no freedom, there would be nothing. Someone wondered, should the state or the people get rich first? In fact, this question had a response from 3,000 years ago. At that time, King Zhou asked Zhang Ziya how to govern the world. Zhang Ziya replied, if the king rules the country, he would make the people rich. If a country has no way to follow, the ruler would be the rich. This video shows that the harvest season for apples has arrived, but the retail price is extremely low, only 12 cents per caddy.
看一下啊，这小苹果全部交到果汁厂榨果汁的啊，价格说出来吓你们一跳，1毛一斤啊，没有听错，1毛一斤。
Someone introduced, Apple's retail price is usually 5 or 6 yuan per caddy, while here the price is only 12 cents. The primary factor that caused this to happen is the Chinese government, which stands in between the farmers and the consumers. Someone said circulation costs are too high. In China, land costs are high, so are housing, oil, tolls, and all kinds of fees required by the management personnel. All of these would eventually be calculated into the terminal sales price. Someone said this is a result of the large-scale planting of fruit trees in China in recent years that was mandated by the Chinese government. This has caused a surplus of fruit harvest. Someone worried China's current grain reserves are insufficient. A food shortage may break out in the future. Someone shared, my parents told me that the hospital that my sister-in-law works at, many doctors around her have already begun to store grains. They are primarily worried that grain prices may increase. Someone said even if a war does break out, the US government will not block the circulation of civilian assets, but the CCP instead may monopolize the supply chains. There are too many people in communist China who have difficulty meeting their basic food needs. Someone said, this illustrates the happy life that the so-called flowers of China truly lead. Someone said, actually, there is no need to worry because the CCP's Minister of Finance already said that the government is living a tight life because it hopes that the Chinese people will live well.
政府过紧日子，目的是让人民群众过好日子，这是一个长期的方针政策，并不是短期的应对措施。
In the video, the CCP's Minister of Finance Liu Kun said the government has tightened its belt because it wants the people to lead a good life. This is a long-term policy, not a short-term response. Someone recalled what the CCP's mouthpiece, Xinhua News Agency, once said, no official in any other country is as obsessed as the Chinese Communist Party officials who always prioritize the happiness of the Chinese people. Someone said, no one lies like the CCP does. without feeling a single sense of remorse. Someone said it is useless to merely talk about it, as actions are what really matter. When the critical time comes and if there is no food available to eat, even the CCP cadres may turn against the regime, just similar to what the dog in the video did. Someone said, I hope this video will be broadcast as part of the CCP's mouthpiece, CCTV's daily news briefing, so that the Chinese people can wake up from its lies sooner.
Child, we will take you in. Child, we will bring you home. You'll be a flower that sees the spring. Soon a dove flying high.